YouTube, this is MTGeezers, and we are bringing you this video to give you the first part of our complete set review for Khans of Tarkir, because as of today, all of the cards for Khans of Tarkir have been spoiled. So we are going to start off today with the multicolored cards, and we're going to get straight into it with Abomination of Gudul. I'm sorry about my pronunciations, they are extremely poor. But this is 6 mana for a 3/4 with flying. When it does combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and discard a card. It also has more for 5. I really like this card, and I think it will see a lot of play in standard, sealed, especially draft. It's a really solid card, lots of potential. Abzan Ascendancy, you've all seen this card before. Again, a really strong card, putting 1/1s and everything, triggers Outlast. Really good card, loads of potential, and also resistant to board wipes because it gets you loads of 1/1s. Abzan Charm, quite recently spoiled. I think it's got a lot of competition with cards like Hero's Downfall and Banishing Light. However, it is more versatile, so it just depends which one you decide to run. Personally, I believe I'm probably going to be running 2 Abzan Charms if I did decide to make an Abzan deck. However, a full playset of Banishing Lights. Abzan Guide will see a lot of play in sealed formats. He's 6 for a 4/4 with lifelink and more for 5. And obviously just the ability to turn him face up at any time is quite good. With all morph creatures, nice surprise guy there. Anafenza, the clan leader for Abzan, 3 for a 4/4. Whenever it attacks, you can put a 1/1 counter on another attacking creature or tap creature. And if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard, exile it instead. Obviously a really, really strong card. Reminds me a bit of Loxodon Smiter. Similar card, however this is legendary, so that's a bit of a downside, but obviously its abilities are much stronger. Ankle Shanker we've seen the other art for that. And being able to give all of your creatures first strike and death touch until end of turn whenever they attack is really overpowered. I can see a lot of play for this in standard, in constructed, and definitely a great card to pull in your pre-release and stuff like that. Armament Corpse, it's pretty good. It puts counters on your dudes which will trigger Outlast. I don't know how much Outlast is going to come in, like, as an effect. If people do make Outlast decks in standard, it will definitely see play. Otherwise, it's just a strong 6/6. You can make it in sealed formats. But he's a good card, you know. I do like it. A 6/6 for 5 or a 4/4, and you can put 1/1s on your other creatures. Avalanche Tusker for 5, you're getting a 6/4 that when it attacks, target creature defending player controls blocks. Really good, just gets rid of some of their annoying creatures. If they've got something that you don't want there, you can make it block. Kind of works a bit like a removal spell, and it's got a strong body to it as well. Just a bit of a letdown on the defensive side. Bear's Companion, it gets you a 2/2 and a 4/4. Really solid card for Teamer, as it also helps trigger Ferocious Mechanic. And it only costs 5 mana, so you're getting 2 creatures. Definitely a lot of play in sealed formats. Butcher of the Horde, I haven't quite thought about this card much. I don't really know what decks are going to run it. I can definitely see chance for it in a heavy Mardu token build, where you can just sack 3 tokens on the first turn you play it, turn 4, and give it Vigilance, Lifelink, and Haste. So it's definitely a strong card, I just don't really know what decks will be running it, and again, most of these cards are really strong and sealed. Chief of the Edge and Chief of the Scale are quite possibly my favourite uncommons in the set. 3/2s and 2/3s for 2 mana have always been absolutely amazing, but giving other warriors you control that little pump, which in Abzan and Mardu deck there will be a lot of warriors, these are just really, really strong cards. I can definitely see play for them in standard, and quite possibly even in commander builds. Not so much in modern maybe, but if you are making a modern warrior deck, which there are a few of around at the moment, you know, maybe they could fit into there. But definitely a really strong card for standard. Crackling Doom is absolutely bonkers in Commander, dealing 2 damage to each opponent, and each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. For only 3 mana, this card is bonkers. It's gonna make so much better a lot of Commander decks, so great play. Death Frenzy here, it reminds me a lot of Drowning Sorrow, giving the minus effect. It's obviously going to wipe out White Weenie decks and gain you quite a lot of life. However, its steep mana cost of 5 mana here, and it doesn't let you scry. I can see a lot more use for Drowning Sorrow. So it's a nice card, but not as much use in standard. Deflecting Palm for 2, the next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you, prevent it. And if damage is prevented this way, it bounces that damage back. This card is bonkers. If they go and attack you with a 10/10, for 2 mana, you take 0 and they take 10 damage. That card's absolutely crazy. It's going to be really, really good to play in a few decks like Jeskai. But a really strong card, and I can definitely see a wide use for it. On the other hand, June Blast, I can't see much use for. Its steep cost, which can only really be placed in an Abzan deck, makes it the first reason. But apart from that, it costs 7 mana to choose up to 1 creature and destroy the rest. Yes, you can keep one of your dudes down if they're really big, quite possibly win the game because of this, but the board wipe is much too expensive, and for just 2 more mana you can in Garruk's Wake, destroying all creatures and planeswalkers you don't control, leaving all of the rest on your side of the board. Here we have Ifrit Weapon Master. This is one of the good commons in the set for Jeskai. A 4/3 with first strike, and obviously pumping your creatures and morph makes it really strong. And it also makes the set look pretty scary if all the commons are going to be this good. And right next to it, Flying Crane Technique, one of my favourite cards from the set. It is one of the best combat tricks I think I've seen in a while. Flying and double strike, and it is going to annihilate all opponents, especially if your creatures have prowess as well, the Jeskai mechanic, because then they're all going to get 1/1 hitting for an extra 2 damage each due to that double strike. Here we have High Spear Mantis and Ice Feather Aven. They're both really good costed flyers. High Spear Mantis, 4 for a 3/3 flying trample. Nothing to complain about there, really solid cards. And Ice Feather Aven, 2 for a 2/2 with flying and morph. And when it's turned face up, return a creature to its owner's hand. Really sweet combat trick. If they go and attack you, you can just turn it face up, bounce one of their things and block another. Or what you can do is on your turn, turn it face up, obviously bounce their blocker and then go swinging them in the air for 2. Here we have Ivotusk Fortress. 5 for a 5/7 is obviously really good. And it has an effect a bit like that Simic card we saw in Theros, which I've forgotten the name of, that untaps all permanents you control on each opponent's upkeep. Obviously they have to have 1/1 counters, so it's a bit of a letdown. But it's definitely going to see a bit of play. And Jeskai Ascendancy, obviously all of the Ascendancies are absolutely bonkers, and pumping all your creatures and untapping them is great. Again, not quite sure what deck it's going to fit into, maybe just the Jeskai mid-range deck, but we will have to see. The charms, like I've said, they're very versatile. I can see use for them in a lot of decks. However, obviously it is going to be battling out with cards like Banishing Light for the top spot. So I can see maybe 2 of these run in a Jeskai mid-range deck. Good card. The Karuhu, I don't know how you say that, the Lich Lord, reminds me a bit of Whip of Erebos. However, you're paying 3 instead of 4, which is great. You don't have to tap it, which makes it better, but you are returning a creature card at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. It also obviously won't have lifelink unless you give it to it, and lifelink was a big part of Whip of Erebos that kept you in the game for quite a long time. It's obviously an amazing card. Don't know quite where it's going to fit in, but definitely playable in Sealed. Here we have Kintry Invocation. You get an XX Spirit Warrior onto the battlefield, where X is the greatest toughness among creatures you control. Pretty self-explanatory. We've seen a lot of cards like this before, and it's pretty good. Mantis Rider reminds me a lot of Lightning Angel. You're losing a toughness, but it's also losing a mana on it. It's mana payment. Flying, Vigilance, and Haste makes it a really solid card, and if you can pump it at all with any enchantments, it's going to be pretty good and pretty hard to deal with as well. Mardu Ascendancy, obviously another Ascendancy, they're all really great, and the Mardu Charm offers versatility to all Mardu decks. These 2 kind of things we've been through before. Mardu Rough Rider is a 5/4, whenever it attacks, type of creature can't block. I can see a lot of play for this in Standard. Lots of people have been a bit like, maybe with this card, but I really like it, and I think it will definitely see a lot of play. As will Master of the Way, because for 5 you're getting to draw a card and dealing damage to type creature or player equal to the number of cards in your hand. This, I believe, will see much more play in Modern and Commander, because you can have lots of enchantments out that mean you have no maximum hand size. You can build a crazy deck based around this card, and just ping opponents for like 20 damage, 10 damage, 15, etc. Now we have Mind Swipe, where you're countering a spell unless its controller pays X, reminds me a lot of Syncopate, and then it deals X damage to that spell's controller. This is made for kind of red-blue burn counter decks. We've seen a lot of this in Modern, and now they've actually made a card for this deck, so that's really sweet. And Narset sat right next to it is absolutely bonkers. First strike and hexproof, 3/2 fly. First strike hexproof 6. You're getting to play Elspeth, Banishing Light, loads of cool enchantments and walkers and all that kind of stuff from the top of your library without paying their mana cost. And that's the bit that really makes Narset definite playability in quite a few formats. Ponyback Brigade has my favourite art. For 5, you're getting a 2/2 when it's turn face up. You get 3 1/1s, or when it enters battlefield. Rakasha Death Raider, Death Dealer, sorry, reminds me quite a lot of Lot with Troll, the 3/1 where you can pay 2 and put a 1/1 on it. However, its effects only last till end of turn. Solid card, but obviously not as good as what it was trying to replace there. Now we've got 2 cards, Rakasha Vizier, don't really know how you say that. Whenever one or more cards are put into exile from a graveyard, put that many 1/1s on it. Totally screws over the Abzan leader and Offenser, because whenever something gets exiled by it, he gets that many 1/1s. Really solid card. And Ride Down is just great removal for most decks. And creatures that were blocked by this creature gain Trample. Really solid. Sage of the Inward Eye is great 3/4 flyer for 5, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you gain lifelink, giving you a lot of life that you might need. Much more playing Sealed, I see, however it might fit into a few decks. Saggy Mauler, 6 for a 6/6 with Trample and Hexproof, more for 5. Again, just a really good filler card. The Hexproof makes it a bomb. Without that, it'd be strong. Hexproof makes it insane. Possible playing Standard, it depends what type of decks come out after rotation. We now have my favourite card from the set, Savage Knuckleblade. 3 mana, you're getting a 4/4 with so much versatility. For 3, you can return it to your owner's hand, bouncing it, effectively dodging it from removal. For 1 red mana, it gains haste until end of turn, and for 3, it gets +2/+2, becoming a 6/6. Absolute bomb. Here's the much anticipated art we've seen for Secret Plans, where face down creatures you control get +0/+1, and whenever a creature's turn face up, you draw a card. It doesn't seem that good to me. Maybe you guys can prove me wrong with loads of morph and stuff, but I don't like it all that much. Sidisi is another clan leader. This time it's the clan leader for... I have forgotten the name because I'm a numpty. But it's really... Oh, Sultai, that's the one. Yeah, but it's a really great clan leader. I really like it. It works well with lots of graveyard-based decks. Siege Rhino puts you 6 life in the lead, pinging your opponent for 3 and gaining you 3 life. And it's a solid 4/5 Trampler for 4. Snowhorn Rider for 6 mana, you get yourself a 5/5 Trampler with Morph. I looked at this card and I thought, yeah, it's okay. And then I realised it's a common, which made me realise how amazing it's going to be in sealed formats, draft and stuff like that. Absolutely bonkers. And here we have one of the 2 planeswalkers of the set, Sorin Solemn Visitor. For 4, you're giving your creatures +1/+1 and lifelink until end of turn. Which is really, really solid. It works amazing in Commander, because obviously it goes through all your opponent's turns as well. He can create defenders for himself as a -, and his emblem is absolutely crazy, making your opponent sacrifice pretty much all their creatures over a bit of time. Sultai Ascendancy and Sultai Charm, you kind of know what those cards do. We've been over those kind of things already. Another amazing clan leader, Surek Dragonclaw, a 6/6 with Flash. He can't be countered. Creatures you can't control can't be countered, and other creatures have Trample. Reminds me a lot of Nylea, this bit, but obviously much, much more powerful than Nylea. And next to it here, we have Sultai Soothsayer. For 5 mana, you're getting a 2/5. When it's battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put into your hand, rest in your graveyard. Works well with the clan leader and with aggro decks. Here we have the Teamer Charm and Ascendancy. If you want to look at them, just pause the video now. And we have Trap Essence and Utter's End. Utter's End, exile target non-land permanent. Really, really great card. You know, kills pretty much everything. And Trap Essence counters a spell and puts 2 1/1s on target creature. It's a shame that card wasn't made for Abzan, but it's obviously really strong in its clan base as well. Villainous Wealth is absolutely bonkers in Commander. Exiling cards from your library and you get to play them for free. Warden of the Eye, I like it. Don't really know where it's going to be played. And the final 2 cards we're looking at today, Zergo Helm Smasher. Obviously, you've seen this card. He's amazing for most aggro decks, Mardu aggro decks, with Indestructible on your turn. And Winter Flame, choose one or both, tapping a creature and dealing 2 damage to target creature for 3 mana. That's the end of our video for today. If you liked it, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are going to bring you more full set reviews for each colour and for artifacts and everything, so make sure you stay tuned. Thank you for watching. This is MTGeezers. Goodbye.